Experts will just take you on a journey of love. What's going on, Bob?
Bob.
I don't know. Trying to say baby and love at the same time, and it just came out mine. That's my new term of endearment for you. Hey, lover.
Yo, love it.
I'm loving you. I guess so.
Well, listen, we're going to get right into it. So today we're going to talk about,
How our love language became our greatest ally.
man, let me tell you, this one was, when we talk about eye opener, this was definitely an eye opener. And when we went through our therapy session, it just really reiterated how important our love language was in our marriage.
And understanding, each other's love language. Couples may not have the same love language.
Exactly.
But you have to know how to speak that love language for your partner and be able to speak in that language to them, because it helps the relationship completely. Understanding what they want and what their needs are.
And the best part of all of this is it's such an easy task. It's such a big topic, but so easy to do. And it falls right back into that communication piece, like communicating this way of how I like to be loved.
And it makes sense, because it's hard if you're not communicating in a way that the other person understands. Then how can they get what you're saying? It was a commercial. It was an American Express commercial where the comedian was in England and he's telling a joke and no one laughed. And he went around England and learned the language and got up there, said the exact same joke, but used their vernacular, and they cracked up. And it was like, it makes a difference. It was like that show. And you think about that goes into your marriage, because if you don't speak the language that your partner is accepting, then they're not understanding you and you're not understanding them. And you truly can't communicate.
And understanding why aren't they being the recipient of what I'm doing here, because that might not work for them. So let's talk about that. So how many years ago we actually took the love language test? It's been a while ago. So, and of course, we both had different.
Well, let's go over what the love languages are first.
Okay, go ahead, babe.
So there's 5 different love languages. This was, credited to Dr. Chapman way back in '92 when he wrote his book, The 5 Love Languages. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. So words of affirmation is about expressing affection through spoken words, praise, or appreciation. When this is someone's primary love language, they enjoy kind words and encouragement, uplifting quotes, love notes, and cute text messages. You can make a person's day by complimenting them or pointing out what they do well.
Quality time. Someone with this love language values your full presence when you are together. They feel most loved if you give them your undivided attention and spend time together in a meaningful and interactive ways. This means putting down the cell phone, turning off the computer, making eye contact, thoughtfully interacting, and actively listening.
Physical touch. A person with physical touch as their primary love language feels love through physical affection. Aside from sex, they feel loved when their partner holds their hand, touches their arm, or gives them a massage at the end of the day. For example, a person's idea of a wonderful date night might be cuddling on the couch while watching a movie, slow dancing together with a lot of physical contact, or taking a long walk together while holding hands. They feel most loved when physically interacting with their partner. Another one, acts of service. Acts of service are nice things you do for your partner that make them feel loved and appreciated, such as helping with the dishes, running errands, vacuuming, putting gas in the car. If your partner's main love language is acts of service, they'll notice and appreciate little things you do for them. They'll tend to perform acts of service and kindness for others too.
Receiving gifts. For someone who resonates well with this love language, gifts symbolize love, care, and affection. They treasure not only the gifts itself, but also the time and effort the gift giver put into selecting it. People who enjoy receiving gifts as part of their primary love language do not necessarily expect large or expensive presents. It's more the effort and the thoughtfulness behind the gift that counts. When you take time to pick out a gift specifically for them, it tells them you are thoughtful and really know and care about them and their preferences. People with this love language can often remember every little gift they have received from their loved ones because it makes such an impact on them. So we did ours and we wanted to know, like, we were curious because we were kind of off balance, just a little bit,
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, like, mine, and I'm not embarrassed to say it at all, my love language when we first took it was gifts. I was like, and then I really liked the fact that it didn't say it kind of cleared up that I wasn't greedy, I wasn't materialistic when I sometimes think that I am materialistic because I like these kinds of things. But that was my love language. And you know what? After I read it, I'm still here we are, 2024. I took the quiz again, and it's still the same thing. My love language is acts of receiving gifts.
For me, I always thought mine was going to be physical touch, assuming that was what drives me. But then realizing that from the beginning and even now, it's quality time.
No, but the first time you took it, yours was words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation was
Yes,
the first.
that was your first one.
You're right. Words of affirmation was the first one, but now it's quality time. But then I realized, really, it's always been that because I go back to when we started dating, and we would just hang out, and I just wanted to be around you, and I still just want to be around
Until
you,
this day,
So
he still says that.
I just want to be in your presence. Like that's what matters to me, they talk about, oh, what's your favorite, vacation? I was like, just being with my wife, enjoying us. Like that's it for me. Like that's the main thing, us enjoying each other together. Even doing this podcast, this is a part of that quality time. This is a part of our opportunity to be together and do something together. So that's really for me what drives.
So I have a good example of how we had to really take this love language very seriously. So Jason, I'm not a plant person. Don't like plants. I mean, I like flowers. I love roses. Those are my favorite. And he would bring flowers home. And I was like, oh, okay, flowers. His thought was, oh, I'm bringing her these beautiful flowers. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. But that's not my love language. Now, when he would give me, I got a good one for my birthday. I will never forget this. And it says, you always remember the little things. For my birthday, we did a community service thing. We went and filled backpacks for foster kids. When I tell you that was the most meaningful, like thoughtful act of like service, I think I was about to cry because I thought that was the neatest thing. Something that I love to do. I've always loved to do community service. I've been doing community service since God knows forever because I know when I was growing up, we utilized most of those services that were available. And I always said to myself that I would give back. And to this day, I continue to do that because I have the means, but by all means, I'm not rich. But I have the means to give back. If I have clothes to give,
you got means?
oh shush! I give back when I have clothes that I want to donate or funds that I can give. So this act of service was like that was like a great gift, and I will never forget that. And one of the good parts was I was somewhere and this organization had these backpacks. I was like, oh my God, I did that. And that was great. And it's the things like that that spoke to me. And when he took me to, like, I'm not asking for expensive gifts by far. That's not what I'm asking. One of the other things he did for me for Mother's Day, he took me to a flower garden. Oh my God, that was amazing. I don't think it was a lot of money. It was just there, seeing the beauty. It was great. So that was a gift that I will never forget. And so when I do that, when he does that for me, I'm also the same way. I love to give very meaningful, very thoughtful, practical gifts because that's what I like. So that kind of speaks to Me. Now, the flowers, I'm not saying they're not beautiful, but that doesn't like make me like, oh my God, this is amazing. They're beautiful to look at, and I love them. But if you take me to Salvation Army and say we're going to feed the homeless, or you buy me a pair of sneakers that fits the arch of my feet because you heard me complain about it, that's what that love language to me means. Because it also lets me know that you're listening. I'm always listening. I'm always listening. I'm always paying attention. When he was like, "Can you scratch my back?" I'm gonna tell you, I don't like it. I hate it. So I bought him this back scratcher. And every time, how many years has it been? Every time I see him use that back scratcher, I'm like, "Yep. See, there go my love language, and my practical gift getting used. The shoehorn getting used." So that's what I look at as my love language.
And for me, it's that being quality time and just spending time. Even when I create experiences for us as we're going out or doing dates or whatever, like that is about that quality time. That's what drives me. When we get our Sundays where we can just chill in the house and just relax and be together. That's what really pushes. And it really came out even when we were going to counseling and realized that sometimes when Monica said like she just needed her time, and just needed her time to be, like like she would go to the bedroom and just like be in there. So I'm thinking like, oh, is she mad at me? Did I do something wrong? And she's like, no, I just, and not really understanding it. It's not like I'm clingy. It's just like I just like to be in our presence. Like, our living room, like we're sitting in different chairs,
Hmm.
but it's like we're in each other's presence. We can talk to each other. We can laugh. We can, point out something that we're watching or, something that we just read, and have a discussion about it. Like that's what drives me the most. I was telling like I drive, we both work in the same place and in the same, city. So I drive in. And now that she has to go into the office, like she rides with me. And I was telling the other day, like, I miss this, like, cause all the time, like she's working remotely and I'm going in, and it's just me in the car and I'm just going in now. I have a car buddy, which is great. I mean, there was one point where I even considered doing carpooling. So
Oh
like I would
wow.
have like somebody to talk to because it gets kind of boring sometimes. Just that it becomes mundane, But now it's not mundane because I have my partner, in the car with me, and we can talk and we unpack each other's days. Like get to talk about what's going to happen in the beginning of the day. De-stress a little bit or take off some of that anxiety that you have going in. Because you have it like it's like, oh my God, I got so much going on. I know this week is going to be busy for me, so I know there's going to be some anxiousness that's going to come into my body. So having that time and all of that, and then I even think about even for me growing up, when my father used to pick me up every weekend, um, so I could spend the weekend with him. And the first thing we would do was we'd stop off at the supermarket and we go grocery shopping because Friday was his day that he went grocery shopping for the family. And we would walk it. Now he had this thing where he had to go up every darn aisle, even though he wasn't gonna buy nothing from that aisle. But we'd walk up every aisle and we'd shop and then we go home. And this whole process between the drive home and going to the supermarket, we may be 3 hours together, all together, because we live far apart. And that was a long time. But you know what? For me, that was quality time. And that has always been a part of it for me, growing up with my cousins, with my family, and then now, being in a relationship with my wife. Like that's the key to me is spending time. I always want the family to come over and let's have a good time with the grandkids and the kids, like it's always the same thing. So like, yeah, that speaks to me. So if we understand that of each other, we understand what works for the other person, it helps to really get you through the rough times. It helps to get you through the great times too. But it just helps you communicate better because you know what this person wants. And it doesn't say that you don't want the other five languages.
Oh,
It's just
absolutely
saying where
not.
your dominants are. Your
Yeah.
dominant language is this one. And then you have the other languages. So we speak all five languages. We enjoy all five languages, just to different degrees.
Yes.
It's like it's not like she said. She loves the roses. You know, truth be told, if the roses ain't there, she gonna say, Oh, no flowers this week. Not because you're like, oh my God, I gotta have them, but because this is a part of us. This has become what happens, and I like bringing them in because I think it's something nice to see fresh flowers, during the day, especially when she was working from home. Like it's nice to have a little beauty, even if it's dark or dim outside. You still got these beautiful flowers, and I spent time picking them out.
Yeah, and then let's go back to the way in the beginning when we really didn't know what love language meant.
Couldn't even speak that.
What it
language.
wasn't. I
Foreign
remember
language.
at one point, I realized that Jay, and he thought it was a bad thing, needed like what was that one? Affirmation, words of
Mhm.
affirmation. Yo, you look great. Oh, you're doing a great job. He was like, I always took that as a negative thing. But it was more so like, this is what I like in my life. This is what compels me to go above and beyond. Would you say that, Jay?
Yes.
And so I needed to do more of that. Now, when we went to therapy, I was like, why do I have to do this? He's a man. He's supposed to do these things. And we have to dispel those myths that men are always need. They're strong. They do have that softer side, and it's okay.
It's nice to be appreciated.
And so I was like, oh my God, why does he need that? And it only took for me to really understand it's not about him being soft. By far, he was not that. It was just like, he said it's nice to be appreciated. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I got you. Whereas with me, I'm like, God, please don't say that. It made me a little uncomfortable because, the way we grew up, suck it up, buttercup, we tough women, we take control. This is what we do. We don't let nobody run over us. We don't need that. And I had to realize that it's okay to take these words of affirmation. Like, it's okay. It's not a bad thing. So it took a while for me to really like.
And it's a part of that other person's language too. Like that's the part of it, right? Like it's that other person's love language, because receiving also means giving.
Yes.
So like the same way that we think about it, words of affirmation for me, I like to receive them. I also like to give them. You like to receive gifts, but it also key to her, the importance of her giving. Like she takes time and thought into how she gives a gift
I do.
and what she gives. So all that makes a difference. I even think about acts of service. We do that for each other. It's like, the small things. Even if it's just filling up each other's cups of water. Like knowing or making each other's plate, co-cooking together.
Or putting my teacup on the Keurig when
There
it's
you
all
go.
nice and clean.
Cleaning it
Don't
out.
think I don't know that. I do that stuff.
Getting your gas.
Yes,
Like just doing a little thing. And those little things make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like sending, like you said, a quick text in the middle of the day just to check on them, making sure they're good, or what I do is like if I'm if I like find something that is cool, like a quote or a prayer or something, like I'll save it and have it sent to, my wife, during the day, because it may be too early. Sometimes I'm up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. She ain't praying at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because she's sleeping. But when she's gonna need that word or that funny picture, that meme real quick, could be at about 9 o'clock in the morning when she's like, oh my God, this job is killing me. And then you just get that funny like boom, and it hits you and you start cracking up at your desk. So people looking at you like, she just laughing.
And sometimes it hits at the right time. I'm like, oh my God, I needed that. And so I do appreciate those little things like that.
And I do too. That's why. But again, that's what I love language. Like it's reciprocal.
Yeah. And I think the other part is, once we retook the quiz again, that mine did not change at all, but Jay's did, which is good. And like I said, we do like spending time with each other. We do spend a lot of time with each other. But there is times, like he said, I do need my time, me time. Like, not that I don't want to be around you. It's just, sometimes I want to even sit in quiet, just be by myself. Have my thoughts thought about, and but that doesn't mean by far that I love my husband any less. And I'm glad that we had that opportunity to talk to our doctor, our therapist, so that Jason could better understand it wasn't about not wanting to be there. It wasn't about us being angry with him.
Now, this also comes at a time when I'm thinking this is when it's not good.
Right.
So we are having arguments or having disagreements or whatever, not being in a good place. So of course, everything becomes heightened. You think about it. When you're mad at a person or a person wrongs you or you feel bad or whatever, like everything they do, even when they say hi, so you gonna say hi like that? It's like, everything becomes that way. So the little act of just like, hey, I'm gonna go to the other room, like you're automatically get on the defensive and thinking, oh, so you just going, like it's just in that place, and I realized to know that this is a part of the language. This is a part of who we are, and it's okay, and it's fine. And you know what? That helped us tremendously.
It did.
Like I'm telling you, the love languages really helped us understand each other in a deeper way, understanding
Yes.
what we want,
Yes.
what we need. But you first have to do it for yourself.
Yes.
You first have to determine what your love language is, and then determine what the other person is. Like
And
we
I-
said, when you get on the plane, they tell you put your mask on first and the other one. So you determine your language, and then work with your partners to figure out what theirs is. And again, the 5 little ones, they're simple.
Right. And I remember when I first took the test, I was like, oh my God, I was so worried. I didn't even want to tell Jason what mine was because I was like, oh my God, am I that materialistic? And, it told our therapist, like, because we had to take it and then we came back to him. And then he was like, okay, so let's talk about this. And I was sitting up there so embarrassed, so ashamed, like, oh my God, I'm a spoiled, rotten, materialistic brat. What the hell is wrong with me? And he made me feel so much better to say, it's not about that. That's just what your love language is. And there's nothing wrong with that being your love language. He said, do you like physical touch? I'm like, yes. Do you like spending time with Jason? And he said, yes. Okay. So you have these other languages. But as Jason said earlier, that's your dominant one. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also look at it as this. If you are taking note of what I like and what I need, and you put thought into my gifts, that means a lot because that means you're listening. You like, okay, I heard her. And then when I see that, I'm like, oh, he's listening. That means a lot to me. And that's important because you are tapping into my love language.
It's those little things. It's the sometimes when Monica's out at the store and she sees something that she knows, like either she would like me to wear or that I would like, and she gets it, or is picking up that extra. It could be something free. Like look, if somebody gave you something, and that, or like if somebody gives me something, I'm like, can I get another one for my wife? Because I know she'll like this. Like I'm not gonna say it if she's not gonna like it. Like if she's not gonna eat it or drink it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get you another one. But if
like
it's something
backpacks, I don't want bags.
yeah, like no,
bags.
I like bags, but she doesn't like bags. She's not a t-shirt person.
No.
So I'm not getting her an extra t-shirt.
No.
But I'm always grab me a t-shirt. And what does she do? She be like, they were giving out t-shirts, so I got you one. I'm like, girl, you know my love language, because she know I love just t-shirts. And I go through them, and they're good to just wear around the house or just so on and do something outside. But like, so it's that kind of those little things that mean so much. I remember I always think about the story of you were telling my mother about you playing the recorder, and you wanted to play the recorder, and you couldn't play it. The teacher was like, "No," or something like
You're
that.
Not good at this.
And she wouldn't get it. And out of nowhere, my mother sends her a recorder, like for like her birthday. It was like wrapped in like with like a check, but like the recorder was the thing. And I remember you thinking like, "Oh my God, my mother-in-law loves me," and it's like, and it's like that was the perfect example of like where the receiving of gifts meant a lot. And my mother listened, and it was just months later.
Oh my goodness.
Like this was like, she came in the summer. We talked about it. My wife's birthday's not till December. And here it comes up. Like it was like that's still that thought. And I realized that's my mom. My mom is the same thing. Like she's a good giver. Like giving gifts is her thing. Paying attention, like the little acts of service, like that's her thing. And I realized, I look at my parents' relationship and realize they didn't speak love languages to each other. Because if they did, like I never really saw my father do what my mother did. Like which was the thoughtfulness in the gifts. I never saw that. And realized that was part of their their issues. Like that was it. You look at that and take the time and think about other relationships that you're connected to or you've been connected to, and look at it. Did they speak each other's love languages? And you wonder, now you realize this could be a reason why they didn't survive.
I could tell you that meant the world to me to receive that reporter. I was like, oh, look at mom. I can't with her. So it also says that there is that trait that kind of, you know, goes into your child or your children sometimes. Because again, Jay said, what did you see when you were growing up? How do you take these different acts of service, kindness, gifts, and things like that? So I always look at gifts as a way of saying, I hear you. I know what you're looking for. I know what you want. I know what makes it a little better. And so that's why I put so much thought into it. And I love the fact that Jay likes to be around me because he's been saying that from day one. I just want to be around you. I was like, okay, and I wasn't used to that, and just getting used to being around. Now, if he decides he wants to go out and hang out, I may have a problem with that. I'm going to be honest, because we've spent so much time with each other that it almost would seem foreign.
Created a monster.
You have. So, but take a look at what your love language is. I guarantee you that will help in some aspect of your marriage, because love languages are important. And there were, so 1992 was the 5.
Yep. And then some research done by Truity in 2020, they did a survey, and they actually revamped the love languages and came up with 7 modern love styles. So we definitely want to bring that up for our next.
So we're going to do
topic.
part 2.
We're going to do part 2, and our topic is going to be the 7 modern love styles, and we'll share them in part 2 with you, which are still connected to the love languages. They're just a variation on them. And, with things do evolve.
Exactly.
They have to change a little bit, so they upgraded, from 20-year difference.
I would say upgrade. I would say they got a little modern.
They modernized, with 20 years difference, so things change.
Got a millennial.
I'm sure there'll be some more love languages and style 20 years from now as well.
Right. So we want to come back with episode one. Wait. So this is going to be
part one of 2.
So the next one will be part 2. Yeah. I'll get it together one of these days.
We're going to make it work.
We're going to make it work.
And I mean, it's a version of it, because at the end of the day, it's going to be, this is the 7 modern love styles we'll talk about next, which come off of the love language, but love language, became our biggest ally. Without it, we definitely would not, be where we are today. And we keep looking to practice it. That's the thing.
Exactly.
You got to keep practicing language. If you don't, it's in real life, you forget it. If you don't use it, you forget it. If you stop speaking, it's going to be hard for you to communicate. If you stop using a language, I speak another language. It's hard for me because I don't speak it enough. So I forget a lot. If I'm immersed in it, I'll speak it all the time. So you have to immerse yourself in the love languages with your partner.
And keep that in the forefront of your marriage, that the love language is important. It's an intricate part of who you and your spouse are.
That's true.
So thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Please subscribe. And if you like our podcast, give us a like on Facebook, shout out on Instagram. And then again, next week, we're going to talk about the second part,
which is the 7 modern love styles.
So until next week, don't forget to tell your spouse, I love you. And I know that you are my rock.
And you are my peace.
All right, people, we talk to you. Peace.
Peace out.